It is another Game 3 for us, Jolly. We are the Lucky Charms after all. We're getting us another one. We are getting both series here, both best of threes to the full mile, the full conclusion. One team is going to move forward to face off against Team Liquid, and it's hard to tell favoring which one going into Game 3 because in Game 1, Wildcard dominated, and then in Game 2, 100 Thieves Academy dominated.
You know, with some of these matches, there's like, okay, all right, you know, they had the first pick, you know, like our first best of 3 earlier with Dignitas Academy and Team Liquid Academy. It's like, all right, they get the first pick, Varus, you know, so blue side wins. No, 100 Thieves lost pretty hard blue side in game number 1, and they said, nope, we still want to take that. We're just going to prioritize somewhat differently. So instead of going for the jungle priority, they decided to do the Rise, the mid lane priority. So that means that given the last pick for the losers, Wildcard Red has opted to go blue this time, but it's making no difference in this matchup. And gosh, I love the new picks that were made here by 100 Thieves. I wasn't convinced or 100% convinced that they were going to be able to make it work, but they got the early pop-off. You mentioned they got the, Chad got that early Dark Harvest stack, and from there, they hit the ground running.
They did, and the thing that's great too is that it wasn't just like Chad winning or like Rielma winning. Everyone was pulling their weight in this game. Poom's engages were great. Rielma there, that flash, so well done. Then you look at Gomsu and how he was able to play into the Camille, and sure, at first it wasn't like there was much going on, but once he started joining into these fights, his Gnar ults were critical, like this one, where it's a knife's edge between the two teams that he's able to pull it back and last long enough for Luger to show up.
Yep. And really good split there, really good recognition. The exact same thing I was commending Wildcard Red on after that the first game was just the fact that their reaction time has been incredible, and they also are making these proactive plays, kind of forcing the positioning out of the enemy team. And this time, it was 100 Thieves Academy that were doing it to Wildcard Red. So absolutely crazy that we are going into Silver Scrapes for this. This is... I mean, one of these teams is going to go home not happy, and at this point, I have no idea how Game 3 is going to go.
I agree. I have no idea either because it is insanity what we have had so far. A kill a minute for one squad in both games. First, Wildcard. Second, 100 Thieves. This third game, I don't even know what to expect going into the draft because we look at pretty much the things that I wanted to see had happened in Game 2 from 100 Thieves and from Wildcard, not really putting the priority onto the ADCs this time, more focusing on the jungle. But then you get the creative picks like Chad going and onto the Graves. The Graves that has been kind of a niche pick already and showing his strength with that champion.
Even with so much frontline, so much initiation that I was so concerned about that Wildcard Red had over 100 Thieves, it didn't matter. 100 Thieves got the early pop-off. They recognized what they had to do. And I do have to say, I already, you know I'm a fan of the Xayah Rakan, but that combination right there, Luger and Poom on the Xayah and Rakan, because Poom absolutely popped off as well. Poom did an exceptional job from early roaming to even late game team fights. That's going to be something that Wildcard Red has to respect, and you got to wonder, are they going to instead change up some of their bans? Are they going to ban out the Xayah so that they can't get that combination again? Because you got to reconsider, not a lot went right for Wildcard Red in that game number 2. And so now it's their opportunity to be faced with the same question that 100 Thieves had in the last one of, where are the openings in the armor? What do we have available that we can take advantage of? Because that was close to flawless.
It was, and the thing for me is, even though we're switching sides, I don't really think the first 3 bans from the two teams are going to change, because there are far more target bans and from these two teams. Aurelia, that is a Bradley ban. You're taking it away from Bradley. Brandini can't play it, but it's mostly towards Bradley. You got Twisted Fate, Bradley again. Aphelios, towards Arrow. Then Tristana, Varus, Thresh. There's a lot of these picks that are being taken away right off the gate, but that's far more just who they're focused on. Maybe the Varus and the Thresh you can make a little bit of an argument towards, but really I feel like Luger likes to play the Varus too. We've seen the Kaisa, even if the Kaisa was not nearly as good as the Xayah, but we've now seen the Xayah and Rakan combination that they could go for even if Varus is taken up.
Yep, so it's going to be difficult. I will say with Wildcard, I'm not sure if they're going to ban out the 3 ADCs, if they are going to ban out the Varus. You basically, on the blue side there, you can ban it out yourself, or you just force a ban from the enemy team, or you get that first pick Varus, which is excellent to get locked in. And definitely something that you can solidify a team around. So that's the next question too. The wild card has to come through with. I don't think it's going to be the same 3 first bans. I think for the most part, probably. But the fact that it's Tristana and Varus, that limits first picks. And Varus is such a solid first pick right now in the current meta. It's probably worth just forcing it out of 100 Thieves.
Could be interesting to see. I'm really curious with that. And then the other thing, the other elephant in the room is Rise. And I'm wondering if that is going to be something that has some hot contention in this draft. Because we saw 100 Thieves Academy confidently draft that first. They got that. They said it doesn't matter what you play into it. Ryoma's going to be fine. And sure enough, he was. He played it into Bradley's Azir, a champion that he plays into Rise over and over again, and said, I don't care. I'm not only going to force you back underneath your turret consistently, but I'm going to get an early flash from you with Poom helping me out, and then bring Chad in to make sure they cemented this Azir was not going to have a fun game.
And it's especially flashy too. I do love it when a team, goes in. They either win or lose, but the other team takes the champion that was played really well into them and says, all right, let me give it my try. Whether it's let me give it my shot or let me show you how it's done. This time, it felt like a let me show you how it's done from Ryoma because, yes, while Bradley did a great job on Rise in Game 1, the Realm Warps from Ryoma were, unbelievable. Amazing. And so consistently used. You have to have a lot of patience. You have to make sure that you're using those at the right times, and every single one from Ryoma was exceptional.
And it's one of those things, too. I loved how they used it because it was mostly just to get Poom or Chad into a position, since both of them are pretty low range, right next to the carries. You even saw there was a fight where Bradley used the Empress Divide the moment the Realm Warp had it landed, but he did almost no damage. Nobody was there to catch the falling champions on the other side, and so Chad, who was there, was able to just unleash hell on to poor Bradley, and he died almost immediately.
And so far, that's kind of been the compositions that are working out. Not kind of, really have been these high damage compositions. The front line, it might make a big difference in terms of teams that maybe have a little bit less cohesion to have that standard, 3-2, 2 frontliners kind of, and 3 damage dealers. But it's kind of been blown. That's been thrown out the window right now. 100 Thieves went in. They said, all right, we're doing heavy damage. Same as Wildcard Red in that first game. And if they could get the early lead, that's really where they just hit the ground running. So, towers, I don't ever think we're going to see anything ever like we saw from 100 Thieves right there. That is by far the most towers I've ever seen in that amount of time. I've never seen 4 towers get taken down pre-14 minutes.
And then the next 2 fell shortly after that. We were in a replay when the next 2 fell. That's how fast they were able to take that. The gold lead, like you talked about, 10,000 gold lead at, 17 minutes into the game? Something absurd like that. Maybe it was less than that. It was domination from 100 Thieves
14 and a half.
Something like, yeah.
I believe it was 14 and a half minutes where it was it was 10K. That's nutty.
Insane.
That's nutty. I keep saying it, but that's the only way I can describe it. It's almost unfathomable for me. Like, if somebody had told me that, especially after game number 1, if I'd watched game number 1 and then go into game number 2, I wasn't able to, and somebody told me that, I'd be like, no, why are you lying to me like this? What, you think I'm going to believe that? Because it really is unbelievable. But they made it work. And I think this side swap is going to be helpful for Wildcard Red, at least to have that early priority. But now they realize we can't be creating a composition around, to shut down the enemy's composition. 100 Thieves figured out what worked well.
That's the thing. It's like, you can only shut down your opponent so much. It's like, if you're not able to actually utilize those counters into a full effect, it's almost like you didn't even pick a counter in the first place. You didn't really. You saw early on that Winston had control. We were talking about that Chad was going to struggle because he got double scuttled. He didn't really have much he could do. So what do? They make sure they force a play somewhere, even if Chad died in the play afterwards. They got the kill immediately. They got the Dark Harvest sack. He spawns, goes immediately bot lane. Doesn't even try to get any more of his jungle. Instead, wanting to make sure to continue these ganks and continue to get early scaling for the team.
And it was perfect timing on that because we talked about at the start of the game. Graves needs a little bit of time. Graves can't really just go in. I mean, you need to get your 3 abilities. You need to get a piece of an item or something to really go in, but all it took was that little sliver. As I think we're gonna head into picks and bans for game number 3, Silver Scrapes, baby. But I mean, it's everything was taken here by 100 Thieves Academy. So Wildcard Red is gonna start it out the exact same way. They're gonna ban out that Tristana to keep it away from Luger. Big respect ban and 100 Thieves.
Oh.
Oh, look at that. I told you. I knew it. You cannot allow that combo. That duo was so good. And the nice thing is, all you need to do is ban out one of them.
That is true, and it is also a Boom especially. He loves to play that Rakan, whether or not with the Zaya, and that's why we see it banned, but Aphelios, Thresh still banned by Wildcard Red. Really not having that priority onto it, and with that Rakan banned away, with Var still left open, I'm mad. Oh no, they don't. Instead, they take away Braum.
Interesting. I would not have anticipated a Braum first pick. Obviously, you're trying to keep away, being on the red side, that final ban, or these bans, you're really anticipating heavy first picks. So I would have thought the Varus over the Braum, and so the Varus is going to be immediately locked in. It's very limited right now for supports, but the idea is if the Varus goes through, then you can immediately pick up the Braum response, which is great, because you have 2 picks. So 100 Thieves opted to not try to take the Braum. Who's, a great champion for both Poom and Daption.
So here, you get the Varus on there for Arrow, and Kalista, the thing that Arrow had piloted last time, this is a pick that actually Luger likes to play in Varus. This is one of those picks, everyone has their style, their champion that they want to play into certain matchups. And so, Kalista, Leona, you don't have that Rakan for the engage, but you still got Leona up and available, great to toss in. It might not have worked so well in the previous game for the side of Wildcard Red, but there's a very immobile champion on the other side in that Varus that it doesn't have a good way to self-peel like Azaya did prior.
I personally would have liked the Alistar, honestly. I know that he's not super high priority for these picks, but in terms of Kalista being able to throw somebody in, Alistar is so dang useful to get the headbutt back towards the team. And especially with Kalista having a relatively short attack range, that is always really nice. The Leona, I understand, I get it, you throw her in, she's tanky. Just not one of my priority picks along with that lane, especially with so much held from both junglers towards the bottom side.
And Aurelia had been banned in the previous 2 games away from Bradley. This time, because it is open, it is a nice take for Bradley with the Lee Sin combination for them. A lot of power that can be provided from that top side of the map. But I want to see if it is going to be that Olaf drafted by 100 Thieves Academy for Chad into that Lee Sin. Everyone has their one champion that they play into certain matchups and want to be able to beat. But the LeBlanc is picked up for Ryoma instead of even going for the jungle.
Yep, not going for the jungle. They're like, all right, hey, you know what? It's the second ban phase next. I'd like to counter this Aurelia. This Aurelia is one that we have let through. We need an answer to it. So I like that they locked in that answer right away. They did kind of show their hand there if they are intending to go with the Olaf. So it's a possibility the Wildcard is now able to ban that one away since they have already locked in. We could.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit there, Jolly.
Okay.
Yeah, your thing was cutting out. But, I kind of want to go into that point because I almost feel like maybe the Olaf was a bait. Everyone has their certain champions they like to play into certain matchups. This is what I was saying before. It was the swap over to LeBlanc. Well, there's still Trundle. There's Olaf. There's Xin Zhao still available. They're champions that you could play into this. Not anymore. I was going to say not anymore. When you were making the point. Those are still up. And even that Kennen right there. Taken away from Brandini because there's so much AD. You need to have a source of AP really for this team, and making sure you don't even have that Kennen is going to be a great stop from the side of 100 Thieves Academy to deny any of that power topside for Wildcard.
Likely another jungle band coming through here for Wildcard Red, just trying to suppress the power. And there it is. The Graves taken away. No big surprise that is the case. Graves definitely it's a little.
Chad, wait. I hate to interrupt you here, Jolly, but Chad, pick me Kazakhs. Pick me Kazakhs. That's Diego. That's not Kazakhs. I wanted Kazakhs. Chad has played Kazakhs before, and I just wanted to see it. It's Game 3 here against Wildcard. That would have been a lot of fun.
It would have been a lot of fun. I don't know if it would have worked into Wildcard Red. Wildcard Red likes their spicy picks too, so I think this is 100 Thieves recognizing, okay, we're going into this team. We're going into WCR. This is not something that we can kind of run fun things in. And I love Gwen. She's not nearly as busted as she used to be. But right when she came out, she was almost unkillable. But she has a lot of survivability. She's one of those kind of frontliner. She's a semi-frontliner because she deals a lot of damage, has survivability, but isn't super tanky as it is. They're looking for a lot of initiation.
I know. The thing is, you're having your points, and the fact that Daption is going back and forth between Galio and Amumu makes me think he's going to go for Nautilus. He briefly hovered that, and that was the pick I was thinking before. That was going to be the lock-in for them, especially because Amumu. Oh, they do go for the Amumu after all.
They do. So we saw it on Poom in game number 1. We're now going to see it on Daption here. And the set, man, I really wish it could. I really wish that would have been, you know, instead of Leona down there, like a set with Luger on the Kalista. That would have been stellar, especially into this Varus Amumu lane on the bottom side. But it will be set in the top to go into Gwen, which is a good, not necessarily, you know, I don't even know what her hard counter picks would be, but it's definitely something where you have a lot of resilience and opportunity to stomp her out.
And, you know, it is going to be curious to see how Gomsu's going to play into Brandini on that Gwen, because the Gwen is your source of AP from this champion. But you know what? We're going to toss it to a break. You can see that we still have a little bit of time. We're going to do it early so we can try to get into this Game 3. It is hype. We're tied 1-1 between Wildcard Red and 100 Thieves Academy. We'll see you on the other side. Don't go anywhere. And just like that, we are back. It is Game 3. One team to move forward. One team to get knocked down to the lower bracket. 100 Thieves Academy have forced us into this final matchup between them and Wildcard Red. But only one, like I said before, will make it. Who will it be? We'll find out here as we all load up onto the Rift.
Second silver scrapes of the day. Man, they are putting on a show and a half for us. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, they got
sneaky
spotted
play
out.
here.
They got spotted out. That wall is really tricky. You have to pretty much perfectly maneuver around it, and Poom just barely got pushed out by the pathing to barely be spotted out by the turret.
Sad days for 100 Thieves, but that's okay. They can just, you know, reconvene, get back to where they need to. It's going to be a red start here for both of these junglers. No big surprise. Now the question is, who is going to appear from the jungle first? Viego, you know, kind of similar to Graves, but I've seen Viego jump in on ganks at level 2, and it's just the amount of damage that is available from this champion is quite insane from the very start.
And then actually, they decided to go to the blue buff instead, both of them.
Yeah, you're right.
Winston staying topside and seeing that Viego right on to the blue buff himself. I'm a little surprised by that. We'll have the passing ships in the night where Chad's going to be on the top half. We're going to have Winston on the bottom half. And I'm curious to see how that is going to change things for each of them. Because prior, in games 1 and 2, we had seen them meet up early. Winston getting the vision onto Chad in that second game to make sure that the Graves did take a little bit longer to come online. But here, Chad's got a lot more freedom, and he wants to scale up into the game anyways.
Definitely looking for the later game. This this mid lane dance, that's all you can call it, and it's not just because of Aurelia, but Ryoma and Bradley are some of the best mid laners that we have seen, and they've been around for a little while now. They've made big names for themselves as standout players, and we haven't really been able to see the two of them pop off as much as we would hope. It's been a lot of top lane jungle, bottom lane even. So this might be the game from mid lane to really shine through, where we see a carry actually come out of that.
Oh, I was about to say, Bradley did get 25 stacks matchups in game 1. Don't forget
That's
about
a good
that.
point. That's a good point. Don't forget.
He did do that. And Ryoma did do a pretty damn good job on that Rise, but no longer is Rise here in this game. Each of them going on to something completely new, at least in this series, with the LeBlanc, with the Aurelia, and Ryoma because he was already able to shove in the bot lane, he has Chad here on the top side. Brandini looking like he's going to be in a world of hurt. Huge punch with a Haymaker shield, and Ryoma shows up perfectly to pick up his first blood. The TP in. Too late from Bradley to be able to help out, even though Chad is pretty low. He might have to sacrifice his own life, because Gamsu, well, are you actually going to stick around for this? Or are you going to try to make the play? I think you needed to bail out of that one way before then. You gave over 2 kills to Bradley because of it.
Definitely with the teleport coming through from Brandini. The second you see that as Gamsu, you gotta get the heck out of there. Ryoma is going to stop the recall here from Bradley, just waste a little bit of time. That's the most that they can make from this. So just a slight lead in favor right now of Wildcard. In the meantime, the 100 Thieves looking for something on the bottom.
I don't even think it's a slight lead right now. That's 2 kills on the Bradley. And we've seen a lot of snowball potential from these teams. Here, this is honestly it was a great dive initially from 100 Thieves, but it's the after effect.
Yep. It's the continuation of this, and it became difficult. That was Chad. Chad was kind of out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
When Bradley comes through like that, there's not much you can do. The second this teleport comes through, they can see it. There's a ward in that bush. Yeah, absolutely bail, and even probably a bit before that, because you can recognize when Chad's going to go down. We know that's the case. The last thing you want is to make it 2, and the last thing you want is to make it 2 in favor of that mid laner Bradley.
On his Aurelia nonetheless. That is a champion now that is perfectly set up to solo carry this game, unless we can see a lot of attention from Chad to make sure they can put Bradley behind. Things are going to get rough. You can see that, sure, yeah, Bradley is behind in CS, but it really doesn't matter now that you have those early Merc treads. The laning phase that normally would be difficult for you as Aurelia in to LeBlanc, it's going to be completely negated.
Less than 5-minute completed Merc treads right there. 150 gold bounty. Bradley's going to start a fight here in the mid lane. Does have double buff.
But Ryoma, the thing is, it is still difficult for Bradley at this moment to fully fight into Ryoma. Even if you have the Merc treads, you gotta be a little bit cautious on that one. But if Winston shows up, the flash away, answered! Ryoma! What a play!
Oh my god, Ryoma! I compliment this guy, but was not expecting a play like that. In the meantime, Radini is being jumped on the top side.
Looking familiar, but without Ryoma here, they should still be able to pick up this kill onto Brandini. Second time they've ganked underneath this turret. But God, I just can't believe it. That play from Ryoma was insane.
That was that. Oh man, they've been giving us such crazy plays today. We are so dang lucky, Magical. I just cannot express how excited I am to have games like this. And yes, please, let us take another look at this fight.
I mean, first it starts off well from Ryoma, getting a lot of damage onto Bradley to make sure he can't join it, but then afterwards, this is where it's just nuts.
Winston, so we get the Sonic Wave, goes in.
It's
Obviously, that's the real Ryoma. Very easy to see, but this right here, the chains after the flash forward, beautifully done right there. Moving up to the top side, Brandy, there's not much that can be done when Chad is jumping on you, especially when you're that far away from the tower. Gamsu getting a nice little shield there as well from the Haymaker to continue to take aggro, and we all know how this one plays out.
It's an easy dive. That's the thing about set that I love. It's like Kled. If you're not setting it up to dive over and over again, why'd you even pick it? And Gamsu's clearly understood that. He knows the homework assignment. He's calling up Chad over and over again. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that attempted soon again.
And, you know, I had said that earlier Wildcard's got a slight lead, and you're like, well, I don't know about a slight lead, just Bradley has the 2 kills. Well, now you got 2 kills onto Ryoma with 150 gold bounty, so things have really evened up. You have the Vamp Scepter now onto Aurelia. The Dark Seal has been picked up as well by Ryoma, so both of these guys trying to look to find the shutdown, well, like a shutdown onto Ryoma. And Bradley wanting to make a name for himself or continue his name on this champion. The last thing that Wildcard Red wants is to be like, yes, we got the Aurelia cool games in the bag, and then not have it work out in the laning phase.
But the thing is, even though Ryoma's got 2 kills now, and Bradley has 2 kills on the other side, this is going to be difficult. You're starting to get to the point when Aurelia can actually fight back against LeBlanc consistently. Always diving in with the Blade Surges, getting a little bit of damage with the help of that passive. That makes it so you can push in, and you're going to be the one to roam first. LeBlanc is a champion who needs, not just wants, needs to be able to move around at this point in the game. And it's going to be difficult when Bradley clears out the minions immediately with just Q, 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 Q.
It's lots of fancy pudding coming out of that Aurelia, and certainly not one that we have seen played better on many other players in this the collegiate scene, the amateur scene, really any of this, the proving grounds, no matter what it has been. This is a name for himself Bradley has made for this champion. So comes through, he's still doing well on it. He's got a lot of pressure on the mid side. And it's a lot less exciting. I gotta say, even though it still has been an exciting game, we're 8.5 minutes in. We only got 5 kills, Magical. What
is this? I know. This series, I mean, we're also spoiled because today has just been a bloodbath between all the teams that we've seen. Only Game 3 in the previous series was kind of slow. Like we're seeing here, Game 3. Both teams playing cautiously because this is it. This could mean them either getting knocked down to the lower bracket and having to fight in the best of 5 for their lives, or being able to have that buff. Going up against Team Liquid is going to be difficult, but at least they have wiggle room to work towards for the a further standing in the proving ground.
Right, and we did see this level of trepidation come out as well in Game 3 earlier today in the first series between Team Liquid Academy and Dignitas Academy. Both teams getting into Game 3, they're like, all right, we have to respect the other. We thought that we had this in 2 games. Clearly that's not the case. Let's take it slow. And there's a lot of late game for both of these teams available, so they're trying to hit that stride as quickly as possible, at the same time not bleeding over more kills than necessary. So it is true, we have been spoiled. I think it's gonna ruin my casting for like ever now.
You'll be fine. You'll get used to it. but into this game, Bradley did take a pretty big chunk there in mid lane. Thank you. Seeing him where the gold is, there's 1,000 gold deficit right now for Brandini in the top lane. There's only 500 gold that separates the two teams. But this Gwen is the AP damage source that we talked about earlier, and she is now set behind 1,000 behind Gomsu.
And while there is a pretty decent lead there in the jungle, no, it doesn't matter. Initiation.
Daption, what an engage. Nice haymaker shield, but Gomsu will finally fall to the piercing arrow. I've never stacked up here. Heartbreaker to pick up the kill, stolen away. Got Daption, bandage tossed back onto Brandini. Needle work, barely cannot finish off Boom. So they have to all fall back, flash away from Arrow just to get a little bit of distance and survive the fight. 2 for 1 in favor of 100 Thieves Academy.
Arrow looking so good, trying to find that piercing arrow. Everybody on 100 Thieves so incredibly low, and every single ultimate was taken off of Wildcard in that.
Damn, that's nuts. Everything was used by Wildcard, and they only get the 1 kill onto Gomsu. More kills piled into Ryoma. We take a look at this play, and honestly, at first I thought this was a great play coming in from Daption.
Yeah, it looked really solid. The great ultimate followed up, and Bradley taking a lot of damage as well on the backside here, but the flash away splits off Ryoma, and that means that the initiation kind of moves towards the middle. So it's just this aggro swap is excellent from 100 Thieves, recognizing, all right, I need to move out now. Or I need to move in and begin taking aggro. Even though I'm low, I'm not as low as another member of my team. Very good juggling coming out of 100 Thieves, and another successful fight.
And it's Brandini now a level behind Gomsu. Can't really fight this, not for some time. Still, not even at that Rift Maker just yet. It's gonna be some time before you're really gonna find that power. Yep. Which means elsewhere on the map for Wildcard, we have to look and see how they're gonna be able to get back into this game. You got 2 kills. There's still 2 kills still there for Bradley. It hasn't died, but unfortunately hasn't really been able to utilize that lead to any success just yet.
And now it's not a lead because it's 3-0 for Ryoma here. We've got 3 members in the mid lane trying to put additional pressure down Gamsu. Gosh, so much. The showstopper.
Is he going to solo kill him right now? I think he might. Yes, he will. Gamsu solo killing Brandini.
This looks really good for 100 Thieves. This looks really good for 100 Thieves. I was not coming into this, I'm not gonna lie, I was not coming into this expecting Wildcard Red's streak of 11 series wins to be broken. I can't lie about that.
Same.
And so, to see this Game 3 start in favor, the Dragon tried to be stolen by Winston there, but now you're stuck over the wall. It is gonna get out though.
the big thing is Winston went over the wall and then fail flashed to get himself out. He had to wait for his teammate to get there in order to escape, and now that's a cooldown loss. Winston has been rooted up. That's going to be another change to make sure he's got nowhere to go. Auto attack rampage out of Ryoma.
And so quickly the rest of 100 Thieves convene here on this bottom side. On this mid lane, out comes Shelly. This is going to be the first tower down for sure, and 100 Thieves once again with plate still up, at least find themselves that first tower down. There's only about 45 seconds left, so we're not going to see anything like we did in that game number 1. And the second charge from Shelly goes off!
Tragedy for the side of Wildcard, that second charge. Now Arrow under threat to flash it. What happened? Houdini, where'd he go? Arrow's just gone, eviscerated. Adaption gets the curse of the sad bumping only on 2 members, and he himself double kill for Ryoma. Looking at Bradley, waiting to see if he can get back into the fight, but it's going to be the chains to root him up and make sure he can't get out of there. Heartbreaker to pick up the kill. Brandini, he's got nothing he can really do. He's getting chased away by a 2-level advantage of Ryoma. He cannot help out anybody on the side of Wildcard. 10-3 now for 100 Thieves Academy.
And a 5k gold lead. They are expanding this lead so insanely quickly. It's a dragon aside right now. They just got the first tower. There's the second tower as well, as the top side gets a lot of pressure. Now the bottom tower is the one that 100 Thieves is looking for. But let's take another look at this fight. Poom, very visible. Poom sitting outside of the bush. Ryoma flashing forward. The amount of damage that Ryoma is currently able to get off right now is, I mean, it's you can't go in one at a time, and that's exactly what happens here. We can see Wildcard try to come through, Daption try to take in a lot of the aggression here, and then the ultimate to try to get as much damage down as possible. But the immediate response is from 100 Thieves, the ultimate coming out of Luger there to get Poom back into the fight. It's just, my goodness, the cohesion in this team, it's like each game they have grown so much.
And Jolly, you wanted to see a hard carry mid laner this time around. Are you not entertained by Ryoma?
Oh, I am so entertained. I mean, I hate it because, you know, playing into LeBlanc is like my most favorite thing, but they're going in.
2v3, Daption, he's low, but they've got the route onto Arrow to be able to pick up a kill for Luger. The flash away from Daption, but they can follow this up, can't they? Yes, they can! 7 kills, godlike Ryoma. The chains have connected. Bradley, you started off the game beautifully, but nothing's going right for you anymore. It's 100 Thieves Academy yet again making a dive work.
And are going to get themselves a massive gold lead once again. 15.5 minutes is what we're looking at, in about 8k, a little bit under 8k in favor of 100 Thieves. They've already hit 30,000. That is a big chunk of gold. Another tower down. Wildcard still sitting at 0. And in the last game, keep in mind, Wildcard wasn't even able to get a single tower until 100 Thieves had already locked down 6 of them. So very reminiscent of game number 2, and not looking great for Wildcard.
Not at all. The top team of Amateur now. They are behind 8,000 gold at 16 minutes into the game. Chad's getting chased down. He's able to get a lot of distance away from Winston, but he's kicked into the wall. He's got to survive for a long time, but he just couldn't do it fully. But look at the wrap around. Here's Luger. Here's Boom. There's Ryoma on the other side. Continue to feed the LeBlanc. It's all they need with a burn from the red buff. They've got 8 kills now, and Winston, he will die to the turret, sacrificing because he knows there is no escape.
No escape, and 8-0-2. Hold on. All right. Magical. Ryoma has a 700 gold bounty at 16 minutes. These are record-breaking numbers from 100 Thieves. 2 games in a row here. 10 on the Magi's right now as we start things out. After the Echo has been completed, after the boots are all done, and then you look on the other side, there's still a bit of a struggle. Aurelia just has Gore Drinker available. Wait, that's not even a Gore Drinker, it's an Iron Spike Whip!
Yeah, not even there.
Man!
Not even there yet. Not even close. Waiting it out. Probably was trying to build up the Blade of the Rune King first, but now, just realize how fast you die to Ryoma. You had to immediately go for the Gore Drinker just to give a little bit more of a chance to survive long enough to kill someone.
And there it is. It has been finished after Bradley ends up going back here. I think it's also interesting to point out from the very beginning of this game, Ryoma and Chad have both been down pretty significantly in creep. Not as much for Ryoma, especially as the game goes on, but Chad has not cared about his jungle at all. He is just focusing on ganking, finding successful fights, getting on these objectives as quickly as possible, throwing down some aggressive vision, and just getting aggressive plays for his team. It's great to see as he tries to go in potentially for another one.
Gonna be able to get the stun on Dashin. Dashin, man, he's looking pretty damn squishy there. Even though he's surviving for a bit longer than I thought, they got the kill on Chad. 1-for-1 support for the jungler. That's gonna be a pretty big pick from the side of Wildcard, but a nice double knockup coming in from Boom. Winston's gone. Ryoma's got more stacks, more gold, more Magi's chapters. Though they got the shutdown onto Luger. It's a little bit of gold back for Brandini. It might be the start of the revolution to come.
They really want the shutdown of Ryoma, though. 700 gold, so tempting. Not just that, but to even just get a death. Take away that goose egg in the second slot of the KDA right there, because it is certainly hurting. And then you can also see Boom has yet to go down and has been on the forefront of the majority of these fights. In goes Resto.
Ooh, and Brandini, that's a lot of damage. He survives, though. He's barely able to limp his way out of the battle.
So there has been a bit of a stall in the gold lead, or at least a little bit of a pushback from Wildcard, so it's not quite as heavily in favor for 100 Thieves as it was.
Ryoma, distortion, there's Boom. Making
Boom.
sure there's no way they can kill Ryoma, because that could have been dicey.
Dicey, a lot of gold, and they don't want to allow someone like Arrow to pick that up, and that's who's going for the kill. Ooh!
Arrow, though, flashed away. They've got the damage. Ryoma shut down! Arrow's given the gold. Daption might have given his life. 2 kills to Luger, but at least they have been able to slay the beast.
Finally taken down. Still gets a kill before going down 9-1-4, and you love it when you get killed and you still have a bounty on your head when you respawn.
But he's lost some of those chapters in that book. Now down to 8. And the big thing is that Arrow was able to get the shutdown. They've given it to one of their carries to get back into this game, and once he's able to spend a lot of that gold, that's 1,000 gold he picked up just from 1 kill. It's going to be a nice start for Wildcard.
See how where he goes with it. Still working on stacking up his tier, of course. You've got the Duskblade finished right there, the Warhammer as well. But let's take another look at that fight. We got to watch the first time so far in this game, Ryoma going down, just getting locked up really, really hard. Arrow, 1,025 gold. We saw right there. Thanks to Piercing Arrow. Tries to get a little more damage out, but hey, that's a big, big win for Wildcard.
As they keep the gold deficit at 8,000. 20 minutes into the game, almost 21. Both previous games, Jelly, we saw at the 20-minute mark, the team with the lead immediately started the Baron. Here, though, 100 Thieves Academy are playing it more patiently. They dropped the eye top lane. They're waiting to see if they can find a pick. If they can get Arrow, that's going to be nice start. The flash in. He doesn't have the cleanse just available just yet. He's locked down for so long. And there goes the king. They've got both bot laners dead on the side of Wildcard with Winston getting chased away, kicking away Ryoma. But Luger flashed in to make sure he was dead as dirt. Brandini getting a little bit of damage with the help of that needlework. But Luger's still alive, kiting it back. They've got their own double kill from 100 Thieves. The kick comes in. Bradley won against the world, but he can't do it. He is silenced. It is an ace, all for just 1 kill onto Luger. 100 Thieves Academy are killing the beast that is Wildcard Gaming. The amateur lords are now going to be slain.
This is another tower going down for 100 Thieves. Still none for Wildcard, keep in mind. And the base being broken open from potentially 2 sides here. It won't actually be an inhibitor that goes down, so no super minions quite yet roaming down this mid lane for 100 Thieves. They're not going to be able to take that second tower, but they get a lot off of this fight. It really starts out here, Boom, flashing forward, getting the solar flare perfectly locked down, the Zenith Blade max range, and the showstopper as well from Gamsu to keep the support in the fight. Looks a little bit scary right there for Ryoma, and it looks really scary here for Luger. But Ryoma recognizing, hey, I need to go in. They're focusing on Luger. I need to do whatever damage I can right here. The majority of it coming, from the backside once everybody else joins in. But Luger stays alive, and Bradley right there ended up giving his life 1,000,000% for the 1 kill, and I'm not sure it was worth it.
I mean, the only thing there is what else are you going to do as Wildcard when the rest of your team is dead? When you're caught out way far away from home, Zaption, he takes a lot of damage. Bandit Josh was able to interrupt the distortions, but it's his life for Ire as the rest of 100 Thieves Academy are making the ping call on to Baron.
That was a flash from Winston. That was 100 Thieves going in. He had to. There was no choice. It's either get caught out and get taken down or lose flash and stay alive at least for this Baron to take this move forward. It's going to be really tough for Winston to get in there.
Ryoma taking a lot of damage there from Arrow. He's killed off by Bradley. They've got a lot of low health bars with another kill onto Luger. The carries are gone from 100 Thieves, but Chad's here to start cleaning up house. Brandini over the wall, Heartbreaker 2, Snip getting a lot of damage with the help of the Rift to survive, but he couldn't do it. Double kill for Chad, and the only surviving member now is Arrow. Daption only just now respawning. I mean, he's not going to be able to help out at all, but it doesn't seem to matter because not enough members are up for 100 Thieves Academy to get the Baron. Instead, they're going for the Dragon.
3 to 4 for those kills. So Wildcard at least getting what they can. It's still a 10k gold lead in favor of 100 Thieves. They're going to pick up this third Dragon, put themselves at soul point. But, I mean, it looked really scary for 100 Thieves right there. However, Gamsu and Chad are able to soak up so much damage and continue initiating on these fights. And while Brandini on the Gwen is able to do that as well, it's just a little bit behind in terms of items. So that allows Gamsu and Chad to stick to these targets like glue, never having to disconnect from the fight. Wildcard, hey, they take what they can.
They'll take whatever they can at this point. You're down almost 10,000 gold. You're going to get whatever you want. You're making sure that you at least can stop the Baron, the take that would actually end the game for 100 Thieves Academy. But really, these fights that have been a nice edge for the side of Wildcard are actually great signs for them. If they can somehow make another miracle play happen, Arrow, the damage that he's able to provide at this point, is able to get cut right through Ryoma, the guy with all the gold for the side of 100 Thieves. That might be their win condition.
Look at Gamsu scaring off 3 members right there. So Daption is at level 10. Poom is at level 12.
Is Chad soloing the Baron? Yeah, he's just on it.
Chad is soloing the Baron. So Daption really isn't able to do much here. Sitting at level 10, when across the board you're looking at 12 to 14, which is kind of the expectation here at this point for for the support to not be so far behind. But that just means that this Amumu pick didn't come to fruition early on like we were expecting, or like we've seen earlier in the day as well for 100 Thieves in game number 1. Might smell the demise of Wildcard not having a really viable 5th member.
But this game is not over just yet. It continues on at the moment. Somehow, Wildcard have made sure that they can at least hold on hope that they're not going to get knocked down to the lower bracket. The team that has won 11 straight series in a row. The 12th one is right there, right in front of them. But now 9,000 gold separates them from making sure they can continue that supremacy throughout the amateur, throughout academy, and throughout proving grounds.
Not just 9,000 gold, 6 towers, because they haven't taken a single one. So while you got to consider, okay, that we've seen bigger gold differentials, we've seen bigger, crazier things happen. When there's this much control of the map, the expectation for that to be able to come through gets slimmer and slimmer as time goes on here. So they are kind of stalling out the gold lead. They're not allowing it to get over 10,000, even though it hit that point just a little bit ago. But unless they're able to actually get objectives in response to some of these fights, it's not going to go in their favor because 100 Thieves continuously find at least one little thing on top of deaths.
Winston's pretty far out, dodges the Zenith Blade. Ryoma was on the other side. I was getting a little bit worried for Wildcard at that point because it seemed like they're a bit too far out. Even if it's their jungle, you don't own it anymore. It is 100 Thieves Academy's entire map. The only thing you have that is truly in your control is your own base, and even that is tenuous.
It is, because there is an inhibitor tower down, so no protection on the mid side. Really, really good job by Wildcard, though, to ensure 100 Thieves cannot make the risk of starting up this Baron. They cannot potentially give Wildcard the Baron, because that could be a play. If Wildcard picks that up with multiple members, gets a little bit of a split going, or gets some pressure going, they do have 2 towers that are very low and help the mid tower and the bottom lane. If they can at least supply some of that responding pressure, it could be huge for them. So 100 Thieves really, really wants this Baron. They really want that buff, but they have to be very careful about how they initiate.
They're not playing with their food this time around. They are making sure they're playing it cautiously. Still at a kill a minute for them, by the way. We are only 28 minutes into this game, Jolly. That is how early on this game is, and 100 Thieves back onto the objective.
They're going to start it up. It is the pings coming out from Wildcard. They know what's going on here. Adaptions on the front line.
Waiting for Bradley, waiting for the engage. Ryoma, he wants to just assassinate Arrow. He's got a death cap built up. Even if he's lost a couple of the chapters on that Magi, he can still blow up poor Arrow if he gets close to him. Look at how low it's going to be secured with the Ren. Brandini in the middle. The flash coming in from Daphne, only on to 2 members, but Chad's taken low, still barely alive. But look at Arrow, he's cutting it back. He flashed up in the wall to be able to survive. They've got Bradley in the pit, but now it's going to be Brandini, the first taken out. Chad might fall soon, but he's back up in the fight, taking out Bradley. Even if they got the kill for Daption, they've lost everybody else. They gotta run for the hills, only Winston surviving, and that's the game. 100 Thieves Academy got the Baron. They've got every member that they could possibly need. Even if Poom's not there for the family photo, it doesn't damn matter, because they move on. In the proving grounds, Jolly, they will continue to march forward. They deny 12 in a row from Wildcard, the team that has won everything in amateur. They've won it all, but they're now forced down into the lower bracket, forced to fight their way back if they want to get that Grand Slam victory. The Kingslayers, it's all 100 Thieves Academy, baby.
What a showing from this team. I honestly cannot believe that the team that we saw in game number 1 is the same team that we saw here in games number 2 and 3. Just the amount of polish that they managed to put on to their team plays after each game is, God, I keep saying nutty, but it's so dang nutty. And Wildcard were taken down by 100 Thieves Academy. I cannot get over this. Not only did we get 3 silvers or 2 silver scrapes today, not only did we get 2 full 3-game series with some incredible back and forth, but we saw the Kings, those who reign supreme, get taken down, and now, the last one, now you can guarantee that there will be no more underestimating of 100 Thieves moving forward.
Sorry, Wildcard, but the letter of the day is L, and it is for you. And I hear we have an interview, our Verizon post-game interview, all ready. Poom's here to join us. I hope so, at least. It looks like he might be frozen at the moment. Hopefully he can hear us, and hopefully we'll get that all sorted in just a second.
Do we have you, Poom? No, nope. We'll bring him back when we're ready to do that. But yeah, that means that we do get to see the one, the only Poom there in the support role. As we saw, I said I wasn't the biggest fan of Callista Leona. Clearly, Poom makes me eat my words, as it ends up being miraculous plays from Poom that really reinforce all of that. Some incredible solar flares. I mean, immediately, the second that cooldown was up, those flares were going out. And early roam as well from this player really came into play so big. We're going to take a look at this. Wow. Luckily, it's the end of the day. I don't need to word normally. But we're going to take a look at some replays while we try to get Poom back in here. We're going to start it out pretty early on here.
Oh, this play. Oh, it's Ryoma's fancy feet right here.
Beautifully done. And it goes under tower. That's where it comes through. The clone, obviously, you're not going to be able to get it, but there it is right there. Winston, nice try. The follow-up chain to get the lockdown. And that was an absolutely beautiful one. And we had a lot of these split fights come through today, Magical. Not just in this series, but in the first one as well.
Honestly, this has just been a chaotic series. I expected it to be slightly chaotic, but it was far more than I could have ever hoped for. Even with Game 3, where it started off slow, eventually it just boiled down to we smash face into enemy and hope it all works out.
And it ended up being, I think it was right around kill a minute. Same exact
33 kills for 100 Thieves Academy in a 29-minute game.
Okay, so they're just going to try to blow it out of the water. 33 kills, and that's for the one team. That's not total. That's not total in this game. We had absolute bloodbaths. We've been talking about it all day long, and these teams certainly delivered here to round the day out. Oh, man, you gotta feel, it feels rough being wild card, but maybe it's a good thing for them to finally get a little bit of an ego check.
Yeah, honestly, it might be something that they could use for great success to learn. Honestly, you look at a lot of the double eliminations. A lot of teams will get kind of cocky when they're in the upper bracket, think that they're going to be able to steamroll everyone, especially when you're as winning as Wildcard have been. Like I said, 11 series in a row. If you're not counting the group stages of a lot of things, they have won that many in a row. This was their 12th. They were one game away and barely fell short of it. But now they might be able to use this to kind of figure out how they need to succeed in the future. What mistakes they made here that really led them to lose out so heavily in the early game that even when they played phenomenally in the late game, they just couldn't overcome it.
Yeah, not always a bad thing to go down. It does really, really hurt, especially when you're on a winning streak like that, especially when you're going into a team that I'm sure Wildcard felt that they had the upper hand on. But it's great to see the growth game by game coming through. That's the thing that really astounds me the most is game number 1. 100 Thieves struggled hard. They did not find a lot of success at all in that first game. And then going into number 2, it didn't matter. They said, we're going to make our success happen.
Exactly. It was a great change. And here we go. We got Puma joining us for this Verizon post-game interview. And I always start off with a very generic, very typical question. But
Use mine.
The thing is, this one, it's apt because this was a hell of a series. So how does it feel to have won that one?
It feels pretty good, especially after game 1. You kind of like start off on a bad note, but then you just come back and win 2 games. It feels pretty good.
All right, well then I'm gonna follow it up with my better version of his question, which is when you guys came in today. First off, was the expectation that you guys would be ending Wildcard's winning streak? And I mean, did you guys think that, honestly, did you guys really think that you were gonna end that streak for Wildcard?
I mean, I think like everyone sets their intentions. Like everyone wants to win, right? Usually expecting to win isn't too good because then you put yourself like in a pretty bad mental state if you don't win. So we all definitely intended to win. I mean, it's for sure like, amateur versus academy. You don't really want to lose because, I mean, if you lose, then you lost an amateur team. It's kind of bad. But I mean, Wildcard is a pretty good amateur team. So yeah, but yeah, we intended to win for sure.
And actually, I kind of want to go on to this a little bit more because game 1 was a pretty rough loss. It was honestly, every one of these games for the team on the losing side, it was rough because the other team got a kill a minute. And so I want to ask, what do you guys do after that game 1 to be able to bounce back in games 2 and 3 like that? Like, what is the conversation like?
I mean, game 1 was for sure like we didn't have too good of a draft. I think it wasn't like the champs that we wanted to play at all. So like once the game kind of went like bad after like the top side fight like at blue buff, we were just kind of like, okay, well, we're not gonna outscale. We can't really win this game, so just try to limit us. Try to learn as much as you can from this game because we're not winning. So that's basically what our mindset was.
Well, once it goes there, but you guys clearly you left that loss behind.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's like,
game number
don't
2. Yeah, so you're right. No, that's the hardest thing to do, especially when it's, that ferocious of a game number 1. But going into game number 2, you guys opted once again to stick with the blue side. So you didn't want to give up that first pick. In the first game, you guys did the first pick of the Lee Sin. Was there a conversation about that first pick and how maybe that was part of why the composition didn't work out how you guys wanted?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a conversation about draft. Like that was like basically the only conversation that we had because the game was just like exploded like after 5 minutes. So there was no point of like talking too much about the game. So yeah, we just talked straight up after the game, talk about draft, what are our intentions, like who wants what champ, and like what are our prio champs. We just basically did like a prio check. And then we just dropped decent prio basically.
Yeah. And, I mean, it worked out. The draft in game 2, I was on board with it. You guys did a great job. I mean, your recon is just absolutely insane. And so, just looking at was that your call to try to get this Aya recon, or was that just something that you and Luger both really enjoy playing together?
I mean, I think in this series there was like so many AD carries banned, so it made it like pretty awkward because they were like kind of targeting ADC. So it's for sure like a matchup that like we've played before. So it was just like a secondary option in our heads, but it wasn't like what we were expected to play today at all.
And getting into that, I guess, kind of the expectations. You guys are going to be going into TL Academy. Pretty. I mean, that might be a tough mountain to climb too. So do you guys, anticipate having the same style here, where you really just go in, feel out the enemy team, and then prioritize picks, or do you guys have a game plan set in stone already, anticipating you would win this series?
I mean, we'll for sure have to go in this week of practice with like maybe a different mindset. I'm not sure because we played them in academy
playoffs, the semifinals.
playoffs, yeah. And those games were pretty close. I think we could have won. We ended up losing, but it's fine. It happens. So hopefully we can, bounce back and get a revenge on them. That'd be pretty nice.
I mean, you bounced
and their
back
streak
after
too.
that game one, so I'm like that. I'm already right now believing in you guys.
Yeah. Well, you guys are already the streak enders. So, going into the next one, there's a streak right there for you to end if you want. TL Academy, that was what, their 7th? I think their 7th series win, so not quite as much as Wildcard. But you guys have the opportunity to end another team that reigns supreme. That's got to feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Poom, I'm going to let you have the floor on this one. If you want to shout out anybody out there, just give any praise that you want to. The floor is yours. What do you got to say?
I mean, thank you to everyone who supports 100 Thieves Academy, and especially me. Thank you for everyone who watches Academy.
Heck yeah.
I
agree with that.
Nice, sweet little message. Thank you, Poom, for joining us for this interview. Congratulations on the 2-1 victory, and we look forward to seeing how you're going to be able to play up against Team Liquid Academy. Have a good night, my dude.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we had a full day of Proving Grounds, Jolly, but we are now getting close to the end. And honestly, I just want to get your thoughts on the future of Proving Grounds, the games that we have to come soon.
It's hard for me to fathom that we get any better games than we got today, but they just keep getting better and better as weeks go on. So my expectation, especially now that we know Team Liquid Academy has a streak that 100 Thieves potentially has the opportunity to break here, is huge. I'm so excited. I am so stoked that, I get to be involved in more of this too. I might not be here for this week, but I'll be coming back next week, hopping around. And it's seriously, this is by far the most exciting series I've ever had the privilege of casting. And the good majority of it is thanks to the fact that these teams are growing on the daily. They are growing by each individual game. And that's my favorite part of these amateur collegiate teams, amateur academy teams, is just that the growth is, you can't not see it. Right. If you are watching these games, it's so in your face how well these younger players are performing.
And you can see right there, we had the bracket, we kind of went through it really fast.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we got Resolve versus Immortals Academy, and then after that it will be Golden Guardians Academy and Cloud9 Academy. Both teams fighting to be able to face off against the losers that we had today. And I believe tomorrow is going to be our last of the best of threes, and then after that we move to best of fives from here on out.
Yeah, that's right. It is going to be basically we covered the upper portion of the bracket today. It's going to be the lower portion of those brackets that will be covered tomorrow. And yeah, these teams are fighting to get into these best of fives. That's what TLA is going to be later on, going into 100 Thieves Academy here. But I could expect, hopefully if TLA watched the broadcast of these games coming through from Wildcard and 100 Thieves, I really hope they're realizing we need to get our notebooks out and we need to start taking notes on 100 Thieves right now.
And it's crazy because a lot of these players, especially in the lower bracket, are now fighting to get a spot secured for the scouting ground. So it'll be a lot riding on each of these series. But that is going to do it for us today here on the LCS channel. I've had Mad Magical joined in by the lovely Jolly. We're the Lucky Charms. I hope you had a wonderful day, and we will see you tomorrow for more Proving Grounds. See you then.